He dug a hole in the ice and then placed a wire with a nut attached into the water. After a short while, he caught a fresh little fish, but he showed no excitement. Instead, he looked worried and haggard because he had been trapped in the Arctic for 3 months. However, he never gave up. Whenever he had time, he would dig holes in the snow until he dug out a huge distress signal. Here, it was winter all year round, and the cold weather had already frozen 2 of his toes. If he couldn't wait for rescue, he would sooner or later die here. This was because his plane had crashed in the Arctic. Although he survived, the plane could no longer fly. He had no living tools and could only rely on raw fish to sustain his life every day. Looking at the fish slices in front of him, he felt no enjoyment at all, but instead ate with a hint of sadness. The man picked up the signal transmitter and went out. He climbed to the top of the mountain and turned the hand-crank generator to send out a weak signal, hoping to get a response. When he returned to the fishing hole, he found that the fish box had been destroyed and the fish inside had disappeared. The huge footprints on the ground suggested that danger was approaching. The man was terrified and rushed straight into the cabin, locking the door behind him, and then sat on the bed panting. From then on, he used an iron box to store the fish, and whenever he went out for help, he had to keep observing his surroundings and remain alert. However, just as he was about to leave, he suddenly saw the green light on the transmitter flashing. The man was stunned, thinking he was seeing things. He shook the handle like crazy, and the green light kept flashing, radiating the hope of life. Soon, a helicopter flew in from a distance. The man shouted excitedly, then quickly took out a smoke stick and waved it at the plane. The plane also spotted him and turned in his direction, flying closer and closer. The man couldn't help but laugh. He raised his hands and waved, excitedly welcoming his new life. However, no one expected that just as the plane was about to land, a strong gust of wind came and blew him away. The plane then lost control and crashed. The man stood there, his eyes filled with despair.